and welcome. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Conundrum Cast, where we talk about anything and everything, tackling the small topics and the big questions. My name is Imre, and I'm your host. Episode 6, we have a new guest. I have Abbie Turner. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi. We didn't really have anything too planned for this episode, but hey, we both kind of like horoscopy stuff, so let's talk about that, I guess. So, I'm born February 27th. A little fun fact. So, I'm a Pisces. And
I'm October 28th, so I am a Scorpio.
Okay. So, yes, hold on. I'll look through the stereotypes. I didn't get that many. But Pisces, usually known as the drama queens.
Emotions go crazy.
Yeah, they like throwing tantrums as well when they don't get things that they want. I'll ask you a little bit about it first, because you were the one who kind of I don't know, I forget how we got onto the conversation the first time, but then we started talking about it and you have an interest in it, and then helped me kind of figure my stuff out. So I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about that. That seems like a good thing to do. Okay. What interests you about horoscope? What drew you into it?
Honestly, I don't even know why I got into it really. A mate came over to our flat one day and started talking about it, and he was really drawn to my star sign for some reason.
Okay.
And he said that he loved my qualities, and I was like, what do you mean by my qualities? I don't know what you're talking about.
Sounds a little odd. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, what's so cool about my sign? And then so I decided to have a look because I was curious, obviously. And then I just kind of read a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's how anything starts, and that's kind of what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
The whole is to have someone come on, talk about something people wouldn't usually maybe think about, and then they do their own little research and get into something new. So I mean that's the whole point. So I got a little bit of stuff off the wiki and the web about horoscopes. I'll read that out. It's a bit. But feel free to stop me at any point if you want to add something to that. Cool. Okay, so a horoscope is a astrological chart or diagram representing the positions of the sun, moon, planets, astrological aspects, and sensitive angles at the time of an event, such as the moment of a person's birth. The word horoscope is derived from the Greek words hora and scopus, which means time and observer. Horoscopus or horoscopoi, that's how it was pronounced, which is basically the marker of the hour. Other commonly used names for the horoscope in English include natal chart, astrological chart, astro chart, celestial map, sky map, star map, cosmogram, vitasphere, radical chart, radix, chart wheel, or simply chart. It all sounds kind of, spooky, I guess. Very mystical. It's all that. It's commonly used for divination, which is, I think, where all of the stereotypes kind of come from, and it's been memed a bit. That's why I wanted to make an episode about this on the podcast, because it is one of those touchy subjects where apparently everyone who's into it is just kind of wacky. Exactly. So I do want to talk about it and actually just shed a bit of light on it, because it interests me, but I'm a weird person anyways, so I feel like I can talk about it without being too bothered about being judged. So there's not currently any scientific studies that have shown support for the accuracy of horoscopes, which basically makes it a pseudoscience. So it's basically just kind of word of mouth. This is what I believe, so it's true. Which this is where it gets a little wacky. It's the whole.
This is kind of what interests me about it, though. Just the amount of time and effort that a collective of people have put into this from so many different places, and it's like a whole religion almost.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing with pseudos, with this kind of stuff anyway, is that there's obviously something to it. That's why people are being drawn to it, and it is like a religion.
Must make some sort of sense.
It has a cult following, and what I like about the horoscope, it has in a sense a similarity to tarot card readings and stuff, where a lot of the time, if you read your new horoscope or weekly horoscope, they always leave it super vague. Which I mean, there's that whole thing of it can apply to anyone, but it's not. I never see these kind of things. I mean, maybe that's why I'm less drawn to horoscopes, more to tarot cards. Because, the whole idea of horoscopes is the stars have aligned and they're telling you this. Yeah. But I see it, I don't know, that's why I like tarot cards and stuff so much. Because it's more just a tool to look at yourself and be honest with yourself and take this kind of idea and then see what applies to you.
Yeah, I think it's something that you shouldn't take too seriously, and it shouldn't impact you on a daily basis. I think it should be just something that's kind of interesting, like a little research project.
Exactly,
almost.
Yeah, and like it gives you like a little bit of insight or whatever. Yeah. But like
something that's gonna make you happy.
Exactly,
easy.
But like there can become like a bit of a problem where people are like too radical about it, which I mean. That goes for everything. Exactly. Radical religion. This podcast is taking a very strong turn. Okay. With it being a pseudoscience, there's also like different kind of, especially talking about the zodiacs, there's like different ideologies. For example, there's also, I found this out today, that there's certain ideologies of the 13th and 14th zodiac sign, being the Ophiuchus.
I have no idea how to say that word.
Ophiuchus and Cetus, respectively. But yeah, these aren't commonly used in the divination. So the core ideology or the core 12 zodiacs are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. I never know how to pronounce that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. Well, no, just all of them in general.
All of them.
Yeah. In horoscopes, this is the kind of research I did. There's like two main parts to it, which are commonly used for divination, so like telling the future or giving advice with current events, or even reading people's personalities. I think that's where like the stereotypes come from a lot. So like the two main ones are the sun signs and moon signs, and yeah, so the sun signs are your zodiac personalities, which is calculated by your date of birth, so day, month, and year. The year isn't specifically, it's just day, month, right? Yeah, okay, day, month. This is where like the stereotypes kind of come from. For example, Aries being like a hard worker, but stereotypically have like a fiery or aggressive nature, or like Taurus being stubborn or materialistic, Gemini being unreliable or these are like very strong stereotypes, and like that's where it becomes memed of people being like, oh, forgot to feed the kids and accidentally crashed my car, I'm such a whatever. But like there is obviously something to that, and like you showed me that.
It's just taking those examples to kind of the extreme.
Well, yeah,
and
take
like
it to the extreme.
categorizing.
Yeah, which I think that's where people look badly upon the stuff, because they don't like being categorized and being like, oh, don't stereotype me, like you don't know me.
Yeah.
But like there is actually really something
I don't believe your stupid stars.
Exactly, yeah. Your stars can't tell me who I am kind of thing. But like there is something to that, which I have personally noticed as well. Especially like, it is that stereotypical stuff. But you showed me that video of the astrologer.
It was like a lineup video, and there was like 12 people, so one corresponding to each sign, obviously. And a guy, they actually did it with a woman as well, but two astrologers, they went round and guessed what
what people's
corresponded
stars,
to what star sign
zodiac was.
And it was actually quite interesting, like some of the things that he was saying about
that they were pointing out. He was like, let me see your hands, or like
your ears, your...
Exactly. Then he'd ask like little bits of questions about like their personality and stuff.
The way they're standing, the way they move, the way they introduce themselves, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so there is, it is that stereotyping thing, but it is quite interesting once you like kind of look into it, because you will start noticing that kind of stuff, especially like when a friend, like when you ask a friend what kind of star sign are they, you can kind of... You start noticing things a bit more, which is, and I feel like that's why I kind of tell people they should check this kind of stuff out, because I don't know, it gives you a bit more insight of, I don't know, reading someone's personality. I reckon it's quite a good,
actually. It's quite a good self-understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, maybe if you're feeling kind of lost or don't understand yourself fully, it's quite interesting to get into it. Because when I first got into it, I read these things and I was like, oh...
That makes sense. It kind of
this
explains... This is
why I felt so different this whole time.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is that as well, because like usually they'll give you like some of your like positive qualities, but then also like your negative ones, and knowing your weakness, I think, or weakness...
It's actually easier to cope with it, because I know I can be more alert and know that I'm doing it, which I feel in terms, even if it's all made up, it still in turns makes me like a better person. I feel like, because I've seen those things that it said that are my bad traits, and I try to work on making them better.
Exactly. Yeah. And it
not
is
like crazy. Like I need to change everything, but
no,
like
I know what you mean. Well, that's the same thing why I'm drawn to tarot cards, is because it's less of like, well, it gives you some sort of like advice or like leads you kind of thing. I mean, that's why people are drawn to religion, for example, is because people don't like making their own decisions.
Yeah.
So the other main part for the zodiacs are the moon signs, which represents persons' like inner moods and emotions, which is calculated by the full date, place, and time of birth. So yeah, you did a calculation for me the other day, which I found quite interesting. Yeah, like it gives you a lot more specific details on your personality. And the thing is with the moon signs, because the moon moves around the zodiac compass very quickly, and taking 1 month to go through all the signs and staying in each sign for approximately 2-day period. Hence, the moon is about... Well, the moon moves very quickly, so having the exact date of time is quite important, especially when you're on like that kind of flux of the moon changing over, which then can have... Apparently can have...
because you can take traits from...
Exactly, you can take multiple traits, so it's quite important to know like the exact date of time. Yeah, that's where you... I think that's when you did mine, we didn't have my exact date of time.
Yeah.
And I looked through it again, like I tried to do another calculation. But, I don't know, I might see if we can do another one together, because I was a bit confused with all the information and stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I do find, the zodiac stuff very interesting. I mean, it's been a thing for a really, really long time. Like the horoscope stuff does go back to the Greek times. Anyway, so with some of the Pisces stereotypes, I kind of just looked it up quickly. There's stuff that, because the different star signs correspond with the elements as well, so they usually... People will be like, oh yeah, Pisces, for example, is a water sign, and we have a lot of emotions. We're empathetic individuals, apparently, with so much emotion, artistic endeavors, and an extraordinary imagination, which is quite interesting, because this is the thing I was talking about with like pseudosciences. On one side, you can say, oh yeah, because I'm a Pisces, I'm such an emotional person, and I have all of this imagination and creativity. But then it can also just be like, scientifically speaking, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, so that's could also just be where that comes from, you know?
Yeah.
So like, it is that, and then that's where it can also become a problem. Again, I think we already mentioned this, but like when people are too into it, they'll kind of like end up just riding on the stereotypes of being like, oh yeah, I'm a Pisces, no, this is just who I am, you know, accept me or don't.
It can get really toxic. Like I've watched like a couple videos here and there just on like stereotypes and stuff of what sign, like all the videos like 10 things you need to know about a Taurus, you know, all that sort of stuff. And it can be quite rude, and people can be way too...
Yeah, definitely. And again, they'll ride on the stereotypes of being like, like Scorpio, you either love them or you hate them. But then everyone's like, oh yeah, no, they're just cunts. But it's like, no.
I was watching a video the other day, and it was this lady, and it was everything you need to know about a Scorpio, and it was just her talking
and just super
down
biased
on it the whole time. And then at the end, though, she was like, but don't take any of this to heart. And I was like, I'm not, obviously, because it's just a video. But it's also... You
still can't do that. It's such a... That's an annoying thing. Like, that's just an annoying stereotype.
That's where it gets very toxic, and it's not healthy.
And I mean, that whole thing was like, but don't take any of this to heart. It's like, no, like, that doesn't work like that. You can't... It's the same thing. You can't just say not to be racist or anything, but, like... That's not how that works.
Yeah.
But when people ride on the stereotypes, that's just really stupid. And it becomes a very judgmental thing. I think that's why people are also like, just don't want to have anything to do with it. Because they're like, no, everyone who's into astrology just has all these like made up ideas about it, I guess. Yeah,
that's the whole thing with I don't think it should be taken too seriously as well. Like,
exactly.
You definitely shouldn't
take it into consideration.
You shouldn't choose how you're going to live your life solely based on that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to not date anyone who's not compatible with me according to my zodiac.
Look at that.
Because that's just silly.
What a perfect segue to the next topic, because I was going to go into, compatibility and stuff.
Yeah.
Look at that. Perfect team. So the compatibility stuff is quite interesting. I mean, I haven't looked into it that much, but certain personalities are like more easily, I don't know.
They kind of, it's kind of like a puzzle. It kind of
exactly, because like certain personalities will have like positive aspects to it, which then goes well with someone who has, I don't know, weaker in a certain area. But then there are like certain percentages, because like if you clash too much, like that also obviously becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So that's why this kind of stuff is quite interesting. But then again, like, I mean, I haven't like specifically tested this, so like, who knows if it actually works or not, but it is a nice thing to think about.
I've just searched up zodiac compatibility.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I'm talking about. It says here, 90% of relationship crashing disasters can be avoided by simply finding someone with the right compatible match with your particular zodiac sign. But that's also what I don't like about it.
Yeah.
Is that's trying to act on facts there.
Exactly.
Like 90% of this can be avoided.
Yeah, but it is again. It's a pseudoscience. It's not specifically
That's why it does
real.
Get such a bad rep, and that's why.
Yeah, because the people are just basing their life, and they're just like, I don't even want to be in the room if there's a Virgo there, because whatever. It's like, that's not a cool way to look at it, and again, that's where it becomes a problem, when it's just too toxic.
Yeah.
But I think it is a cool way to look into, or at least like, or if you feel like you're having issues, for example, in a relationship, I think it's really cool to then look at their star sign, for example, and because it does give you some sort of insight a lot of the time, or also like look up like the compatibility, I guess, then, because again, it's rubbish potentially,
but it can be quite reassuring.
And people have been talking about this for so long. Like, there's so much information that obviously, like, at least some parts might be like applicable, kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like, I mean, actually, I looked it up as well. It didn't just go to the Greek times. It also went back to like Babylonian times. So like, really old stuff. So obviously, there must be something to it, because people are still drawn to it. So
many years later.
Exactly. So there's obviously something to that. I think there is, don't take it with a grain of salt, but do take it into consideration, because,
if it's something you're interested in, obviously.
But like, being open-minded is just important, because,
I think it, for me, is definitely just kind of like, it's interesting to me.
Exactly, yeah.
More than I'm not going to obviously base my whole person around it. It's more just interesting the way that people think about people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more like looking at it from kind of like an outsider's point of view.
Yeah.
Just,
well, that's what I find interesting about it as well, because like with the extreme stereotypes and stuff, like, again, it sounds dickish to say, but like, there is some sort of truth to it. They're like, some of the stereotypes, they are true, kind of thing. And then it's interesting reading someone's personality and like them kind of being like, I'm a Pisces, and you're like, I kind of saw those things, but then you also know how to treat that person in a sense.
Yeah.
Again, like, now it just sounds like I'm basing everything upon this, but like, that's one way of looking at it, I guess, which I find interesting.
One way that actually interested me into the whole topic was when I first started researching about it, and then there's actually on Snapchat you can see what all your friends are.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool little feature. It was quite cool to have a look at. So I went through my Snapchat list and had a look at all my friends, and it's actually really interesting seeing the percentage of my friends and what signs or what people I kept in my close circle, and relationships that I had with people, aka like my mum. And I realized that a lot of my friends pretty much in three different signs.
Have you kind of looked at the compatibility thing? If those kind of match up?
Yeah,
or...
no, definitely.
Yeah. So see, there is something like that. I mean, they're not facts, but like, there is something that kind of backs up this whole ideology.
Yeah, because it was actually kind of crazy, because when I went to look at my certain alignment of whatever, I pretty much have no fire signs in me. So it's all water, air, earth. And then I realized, I look around, and there is so minimal of my friends are fire signs.
Okay.
Like, next to none. I probably have, like, 2 or 3 in my life.
Okay.
So that's 3 whole...
Yeah.
months, pretty much, worth of people that I just don't even associate in my life.
That's really interesting.
Which I did find quite interesting.
That is quite cool. Yeah, exactly. Like, with the elements and stuff, there is, again, it also goes to the stereotypes, but yeah, certain star signs will be aligned to that. The zodiac, so for fire, there's Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Earth is Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Air is Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. And water is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And yeah, I looked some stuff up here also with compatibility, so I'll just read this off. Urbanastrologer.com. These 4 elements represent the 4 different temperaments and consequently may be used as an aid in assessing zodiac sign compatibility. The fire and air elements are, as a nature, considered compatible. The energetic, enthusiastic, competitive traits of the fire signs complement the changeable, expedient, versatile traits of the air signs. Earth and water elements are, as a nature, considered compatible. The deliberate, stable, dependable traits of the earth signs complete the sensitive, intuitive, and emotional traits of the water signs. The same basic strengths and weaknesses are often present in relationships where the sun is present in the same elements for both individuals. Okay, the combination of fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, with another fire sign tend to share the same energy and enthusiasm, but often find it difficult to compromise when it comes to major decisions. So this is what we were talking about earlier with the compatibility stuff. Yeah. The combination of earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, with another earth sign tend to appreciate each other's need for stability and routine. Doesn't say anything about difficulties though. Okay. The combination of air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, with another air sign can tend to be impractical, although they find each other intellectually stimulating. So I guess more like a strong friendship than a relationship.
That's what I'm kind of getting.
Well, that makes sense because, most of the air signs are very, they like planning things out and are very headstrong, I guess. The stereotypes again, but you can see where it kind of matches the description. The combination of water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, with another water sign can tend to be very sensitive to each other's needs, but find it difficult when there's any type of emotional upheaval. It does sound like me in general, just water type, so like, it makes sense, Cool. But yeah, I don't know, I find these kind of things interesting, and I want to do a bit more research, on my family as well. Yeah. Having a look at what families, what my mother's or father's star sign is.
Yeah, it's really interesting finding out your family, I think. That was the most interesting. Definitely, or even people that you've known for a really long time, that you feel like you know so well. And then you read these things and you're like, oh.
It is quite interesting, yeah. Which is also funny, why I would want to look into like childhood friends. Yeah. Because like certain childhood friends, you didn't become friends because of like, I don't know, a similar situation. You would be friends with people now, kind of thing. Like,
not like an emotional, like you have common interests.
Exactly. And like as a child, like most of my childhood friends I made because, I don't know, they lived in the neighborhood, or because our parents were friends,
Yeah, same.
But for example, like if I was to hang out with someone, with one of my old friends now, I'm not sure how much we would get along anymore, because obviously with age and maturity comes a different, you pick up new friends, you go into new friend groups and whatever.
You learn, you grow.
That would be quite interesting to see how my friends have evolved, I think. But it would also be cool, I want to look into like my family and stuff, is to just kind of, I don't know, I feel it would explain a little bit more kind of thing. Also like with my issues and all that. Haha, I'm so edgy. But wow, I'm such a Pisces. Yeah, I don't know. I find that stuff interesting. Talking about childhood and stuff. Yeah, what was your childhood like? And do you think that influenced you as a person now?
My childhood. There's like a lot. It's obviously a lot to talk about. There's
of course.
Plenty of good and bad in everyone's upbringing.
Exactly. No, exactly.
But overall my childhood was pretty decent.
Okay. Did you grow up like in the big city or?
No, I grew up Hawke's Bay.
Hawke's Bay.
Born and bred. born in Hastings, lived in Hastings my whole life. Also lived out the back of Havelock as well. Just week on, week off with my parents.
Okay.
But yeah. So I've always been very local. That's why I've just got back from Wellington.
Okay, yeah.
Just because I needed something. Just because I'd been here for so long. And I'm definitely a city girl, I think. I love being around, excitement, lots of things happening.
Exactly. Well, no, I do talk about that quite often, that when you feel stuck, you should go to a big city and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I was reading about this in one of my books, which is 42 Deep Thoughts on Life, the Universe, and Everything by Mark Vernon. He takes a quote from Jane Austen, which is, "We do not look into great cities for our best morality." It's a long chapter of him talking about the ups and downs of the big city. But here's a little snippet that I did like, where he's talking about having just moved to London. So he says, "London did not disappoint. I think it was the writer Will Self who commented that the definition of a great city is a place that is impossible to grasp in a single thought. A city is full of boundaries to step over, and places where the laws of possibility have shifted. There is a liberating anonymity which has always drawn a diverse groups." Basically what the quote was talking about is that because it's a big city, it draws so many different people. Because it is that anonymity. You can walk a whole day, for example, through Wellington without seeing anyone that you know.
Yeah.
And, the same thing, that's why people go there.
It's an incredible freedom.
Exactly, it's such a freedom to do anything you want, and there's always going to be someone else there with similar interests. That's why it's so great to go into a big city when you've lived in like a small place all your life.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I was feeling stuck.
I was feeling much too claustrophobic here.
Yeah, exactly.
I needed to get out. I needed to just leave everything here for a bit because I just needed to clear my mind pretty much.
So how long were you there for?
I think it was 5 or 6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I moved at the start of this year, 2019. Yeah.
So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, definitely a ride. It was incredible though. I wouldn't take it back at all. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about others. I learned all forms of different self-expression, all forms of looking after yourself.
Exactly. That is
you just
one
have
of those
to grow
things.
up so quick.
Exactly. Yeah, moving out from your parents, moving out from family and stuff is always a very big step and very scary.
No, definitely. When people talk to me about like moving out now, and it's like, oof.
Are you sure you're ready for this?
Are you sure you're ready? Like, actually, now that I've done that fully myself, it is a huge task.
Yeah, but it's very freeing as well, I guess.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It was incredible. I loved living with my friends and lived with a great bunch of people. Mm-hmm. Definitely did have our differences, which made living there quite difficult. But it was incredible, and I loved everyone. Yeah, and I loved the time that I had there and the experiences.
And it's all about making contacts as well. I think that's a beautiful part
making
about
friends,
the big city. Exactly.
Meeting people.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly, because it's, especially when you're in like an area with friends who have similar mindsets, you end up meeting just such a variety of people. That's just the important thing of going to like a big city, or at least trying to get out, is to meet more people with similar ideas or similar experiences, because then it's also that feeling. I think that's why a lot of people get stuck in small places, is because they just feel like, I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm the only one. I mean, that's already changed somewhat, obviously, with the internet and everything. I think it would be much harder for like older generations. But yeah, with the internet now, everything's possible. But it is, even with the internet, it can be very, very hard to find a crowd of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having one other person that you can talk to and be like, yo, this is what I'm feeling. And they're like, yeah, I know what you mean. And just having someone to talk to and just being, I don't know, it's being exposed to other mindsets is very, very important. Yeah.
I feel like, especially growing up in a place like Hawke's Bay, it's very small.
Very close-minded.
I went to 2 different high schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I met so many people. And a lot of my friends were from Napier and Taradale and Havelock. I had kind of friends all around Hawke's Bay. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I know that I definitely hadn't met everybody here, but I felt like there was nothing else here.
Yeah.
My friends here obviously are great. I love them to pieces. But I felt like there was more out there that I just couldn't quite get here.
Yeah.
That's why I definitely will be going back. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So when do you think you're going back?
Definitely next year. We'll probably at the start of next year. It really depends though.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you have any specific plans of what you're going to do? You're going to study or?
Yeah, hopefully just find a little flat with a couple people and pop off to uni every day, I guess.
So what do you want to study at uni?
I'm not 100% set on what I'm going to do now, like most people.
Yeah.
But definitely something to do with arts, design.
Oh, yeah.
Creative. Something getting my creative juices flowing, I guess.
Okay. Sorry for putting on your spot like that. To be honest, like, okay,
no,
I'm going to have a little rant about this, but the whole ideology of people asking, like, oh, so what are you going to do for the rest of your life? What are you going to study? It's such a hard question always.
Oh, definitely.
And, like, this whole mentality of, like, you know, you're in school for most of your life, then you turn 18 and suddenly you just have to know what you want to do for the rest of your life and then dedicate your life and get a whole bunch of fees and stuff for this. And it's such a strong mentality.
It's so
and it's
nailed in as well to even, especially like places like this, that you go to school, you get your level 3, you go to university.
Exactly.
And I feel like they really don't give you other options, because there is plenty of other options. I mean, I moved to Wellington at 17. I'm still on the path to getting my level 3. I have endorsements in all levels, and I dropped out.
Yeah, exactly. But you still have the opportunities to do it. But
exactly.
They constantly just drilling it into you as soon as possible. You have to do all of these things. It's like there are a lot more pressing matters but then also like it's a very hypocritical mindset as well. For example, the whole thing of tattoos. You know, there's I forget where I read this quote, but as someone said, they don't get why people are constantly like, oh, you're gonna regret that, you know, don't get a tattoo so quickly. But it's like I'd rather have a tattoo that meant something to me than I was 16.
Yeah, like who are you to say that this doesn't mean?
Exactly. No, I'd rather have something, even if I stop caring about it in 50 years' time, I'd rather have a tattoo that meant something to me when I was 16 than to have a job that I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. Yeah. So it's like they're telling you, oh, don't get a tattoo because you'll regret that in 50 years. But before we're even like fully adults, before our brain is fully developed and us like having enough time to find out who we are, we have to choose a job or a career that we're going to dedicate the rest of our life to. And it's like it's very hypocritical and stupid.
But it's actually interesting that with the whole age of technology, that there are those options that are popping up. A lot of my friends also didn't complete high school, but still have their levels.
And get these new opportunities. Well, that's the thing. Like, I think that's why, generationally, like, our generation is changing and our mindset is changing. And obviously, like, there's this whole thing of millennials or like Gen Z are ruining things because we don't feel the need to
pursue things.
Exactly.
Because I was actually listening to a talk show on the radio the other day. And it was a guy talking about how nonsense it was, how children and parents weren't going to, parents weren't sending their children to school, and children weren't going to, university or college just because of, the climate change.
Yeah.
Ultimatum or whatever's going on.
That is a big thing at the moment,
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who just aren't even going to college anymore, which is such, drilled in very...
Exactly.
You go to college, you get your degree, you work really hard.
Atomic family, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, happy little family with 2 kids or whatever.
And now that people aren't going to college, everyone starts to freak out.
Yeah, exactly. But that is that thing. It's a generational thing that obviously, a couple generations back, that was just the only thing that you could do. You would finish school if you were lucky enough to be able to go to school. And now obviously our parents are like, it's the same thing. But with the the internet and stuff, there's so many also like new jobs
Definitely.
which are arriving. So like for certain things you don't need that school anymore. You can do your own hobbies at home and then be able to share broadcast it worldwide. And I mean that's you can see that with like
not very understood.
Exactly.
See, like even my dad, he owns a phone that he doesn't use very often.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's not old. He's not super old.
Yeah.
But he's still just so secluded to those sort of things. He watches the telly and he goes on his phone, he sends text messages. But that's about it. Never heard of YouTube, never heard of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of realise why there is that controversy between the millennials and the boomers and the everything else.
Well, that's going to be the interesting thing.
There is that huge gap.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Everything's happened also so fast in like the last 10-15 years.
People just aren't adjusting to that quickly. Yeah,
it's easy for us because
we grew up with it. Yeah. And we're kind of slowly,
introduced. Like when the first iPhone came out, we were growing up, so we watched that.
We watched it happen.
We were right in the middle of it all, pretty much.
It's going to be interesting. See, it's kind of macabre that I would say our kids, they're going to have it really well because we already understand this technology stuff, and I think we will be able to adapt with it a lot better. But also, hey, we might not live to see that day, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
don't want to get too into it, but my viewpoint on things is just kind of, if we don't make a change now, shit's gonna go down.
I mean, it's been proven, like, we've been given a doom date, so why are people still not doing anything about it? And that's why, I forget her name now, there's that girl from Sweden. Yeah. That's really, really cool what she's doing. Yeah, she's just, I think every week she just sits in front of Parliament. Yeah. That stuff's really cool. But then also, I mean, like, it is, like, it's a very radical thing to do.
Definitely.
And, like, I don't know if I personally would be able to...
To vote?
Well, just give that up, to just stop going to school, because I, as a person, like, I like making my own decisions, but also, like...
I still want to keep some routine. I want to keep things normal.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I feel like if everybody goes into a full panic...
Well, yeah, then it's just chaos. That's just anarchy, exactly. But, like, yeah, me as a person, like, I like... make my own decisions and doing what I want to do, but like I need structure because otherwise I will just be in my bed all day and not do anything. Yeah. And that's a problem. So like I don't know if I could do it, but I tip my hat to those who can.
New Zealand's doing great things at the moment. On the way here I was listening to the radio. Guy was talking about how they're trying to make all of something with electricity by the 2033.
Oh.
Like all renewable electricity or something, which is pretty impressive. Yeah,
so that was a happy note to leave it all on. Positivity. We're going to save the planet, right? Looking at you listening to this pod. I don't know where I'm going with this. All right. Anyway, we're a good amount into the podcast. I think today's episode will be a bit shorter. I've actually noticed that episode 5 has been doing better with views. However, I feel I might make the episodes a little bit shorter just to make it, a bit more palatable. But for example, I could also start doing little highlight clips. So let me know what you think if you want to hear that. But that's another episode done. Hell yeah.
Boop, boop.
Boop, boop. Okay.